7 days NCL Greek Isles and Istanbul cruise. In this video, you'll learn all about the cruise and what to expect. So this cruise, you will start in Athens, you'll visit Kusadasi, Istanbul, Volos, Mykonos, Rhodes, and Santorini, and then back to Athens. So in this video, I will tell you all about the boat, about the food, about the entertainment, and about the ports themselves. This relatively short 7-day cruise is amazing. I love this particular route, and I'm always most impressed with Istanbul and Volos. Istanbul, or earlier Constantinople, is certainly a city that everyone should visit at least once in a lifetime. And then Volos. Volos you might not have heard about, but that's one of the most significant destinations in the world, I think, because Volos is the place where you would find Meteora. Monasteries are the monasteries that are high on top of the mountains, and the views are simply surreal. And the first port on our list is Athens. We arrived to Athens a day early. We only had one evening in Athens. I would highly recommend arriving a day early at least to make sure that you make it to the boat. We're going to stay in Athens longer at the end of our journey. And now a few words about the boat itself. We're traveling with Norwegian Jade and the boarding experience. Boarding definitely takes a while, so have a book with you. So a little bit about the boat. Registered at 93,500 tons, the capacity 2,400 people roughly, length around 300 meters, height 38 meters, was refurbished in 2022 and built in 2006 with a ship crew of 1,037 people. We actually ordered ocean view, just a window cabin, not a balcony one. Was it worth ordering a window? I don't know. You can hardly see anything from it because it's constantly bombarded with salt water. Another option would be significantly more expensive cabin with a balcony. It's roughly double the size, and the beauty of it, it has the balcony. It also has extra specialty dinings. In my experience, I tried both, with or without the balcony. Next time I'm traveling, an inside cabin with nothing, no balcony, no window, because I'm happy regardless of the cabin. Of course, there are more expensive options beyond just the cabin with a balcony, but I really do believe that most of the entertainment is outside of the cabin and you don't really spend that much time in the cabin. The first dinner was in a complimentary restaurant. There would be 3 complimentary restaurants. This includes the buffet and then a couple of restaurants that are specialty dinings that you have to pay for. I would highly recommend having first and last day in the regular non-specialty dinings because they usually are really, really good on the first and the last day for whatever reason. Then we went for the show, and for drinks there was live music and a couple of places. That's what we did, just a drink and some piano music. And we finished the evening with a bit of a sake. Now, I wasn't drunk, it's just I was looking from the camera, that's why I spilled the sake. And we went to Asian restaurant for like evening snacks. And definitely in cruising, you do want to eat a lot because I think part of the joy is just in eating a lot of. So this one's actually also complimentary. Took a evening stroll. It was quite stormy and we could see some lightning, which was beautiful. Then went again to atrium, asked a couple of questions. That's the main hall where the reception is, and that's where you book the excursions. And we're ready for the next day in Kusadasi, Turkey. And the next morning we arrived to Kusadasi, Turkey. It's a famous sea resort town. We're not here for the beaches, however. We are here for UNESCO World Heritage Site, Ephesus. The ruins of Ephesus is one of the best preserved ancient cities in the world. Was built by Attic and Ionian Greek colonists in 10 BC. Was famous for the nearby temple of Artemis. Roughly 550 BC was one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. During the classical Greek era, it was one of the members of Ionian League. Came under control of Roman Republic in 129, was destroyed by Goth in 263, afterwards rebuilt, but its importance as commercial center declined, and sadly in 614 it was destroyed by an earthquake. Today's city of Ephesus is a favorite destination of the tourists because of the breathtaking ruins and great historical and religious significance. Many historians believe, for example, that such biblical characters as Saint John, who wrote Gospels, he was here in Ephesus while he was writing it, and that Virgin Mary, when dying, he took her to the green hills above Ephesus. The most breathtaking sights in Ephesus would be Great Theatre, Celsius Library, and terrace houses. Majestic Celsius Library was one of the 3 largest ancient world libraries, holding 12,000 scrolls. Apparently was located across the road from a brothel. Of course, no one of those highly esteemed who frequented the library crossed that road. Never, not directly anyway. That would have been inappropriate. They actually had an underground passage leading to the brothels. It was just better that way. Recently most celebrated highlights of Ephesus is the terrace houses, sitting on the mountain slope, an ancient version of Beverly Hills, I would say. These belonged to the wealthiest citizens, floors and walls, mosaic depicting how rich people were. The courtyards were surrounded by the colonnade and paved with marble. The houses had running water, something that Europeans wouldn't see again until early 1800s. And then we finished with a bit of Turkish coffee. Not a big fan of Turkish coffee. If you have an option, go for Ottoman coffee. It's actually tastier. Returned to the boat by early afternoon. Had a little bit of a time by the pool. A little bit of a drink. It's actually virgin. Something virgin. No alcohol, not in the afternoon. Had a bit of an Asian food. A bit of a live music. Walking on the boat. The pool is actually really nice. There are a couple of jacuzzis. They're really quite relevant in the colder ports, and then in the warmer ports you spend most of the time in the pool. It's open until late in the evening. At least the jacuzzis were, which was lovely. Actually saw people hanging out there late in the evening. Something I would recommend doing. Really good mojito bar if you have drinks included. Even if you don't, go for mojito bar. That was actually the best. The bartender was lovely. And finally, the dinner. This is again complimentary dinner. We only had one specialty dining that was included, and we, were satisfied with the food enough that we didn't feel the need to pay for it. The food was actually really, really good in both buffet and non-specialty dinings, as far as I'm concerned. And then again, a couple of drinks. Did drink a lot. And the next day we had a bit more time before the tour to Istanbul. So we had an order breakfast. We didn't go for a buffet. That's something I would highly recommend. Go for order breakfast. They're really nice as well. Just like that, we were in Istanbul. We're spending a day in the magnificent, wonderful, unbelievable, and one of the most beautiful cities of Istanbul. It's the largest city in Turkey, majestically spread out on the banks of the Bosphorus. This is a metropolis that is truly unique in the whole world, located simultaneously in Europe and Asia. During its long 3,000-year history, Istanbul served as capital to the greatest empires of the world, Roman, Byzantine, and Ottoman. It also used to be a religious center of Christianity and Islam. And now to the most exciting part of every trip, the food. I love Turkish cuisine. There are a lot of options, a lot of really good spices. I love flavorful food, and I think Asia is really good in providing it. So I'm a vegetarian, so my options were vegetarian based. There are plenty of really, really good meat options as well, but not for me. In terms of what to see, city obviously has a lot to offer, but probably one of the most important sites that people come to visit would be Hagia Sophia. It is located opposite of the Blue Mosque. When you come to Istanbul, you absolutely have to see it. It's the main religious symbol of Byzantium Constantinople. So it used to be an Orthodox church. Only 6 centuries ago was turned into mosque, and today it is, luckily for us, a museum, allowing us to see the different layers of the history of the temple. Exhausted but happy, returned to the boat and hit again our favorite mojito bar. There are 8 types of different mojitos, from ginger to raspberry. My favorite was raspberry one. Too many others. After the drinks, went for the show. The show was actually really interesting. It was by escape artists. There were all sorts of dangerous things that he was doing on the stage, which was really exciting. And then dinner was great once again, and another evening show was singing, the best show to my opinion on the boat, and that was by the winner of the European Idol or American Idol. It was fantastic. The singing was absolutely amazing. And the next day, after a nice cup of coffee, we were ready to disembark to the greatest journey of a lifetime. This is Meteor. Greece is the world center of Orthodox monasticism, and Meteora is a complex of monasteries located on the tops of massive stone pillars, absolutely stunning. The mountains of Thessaly in Greece, and the whole area called Meteora, which is translated as floating in the air. 6 active mountain monasteries found here. The first mention of hermits in the mountain caves and their places of worship dates back to 10th century. And since 1988, it has been included in UNESCO World Heritage. The monasteries of Meteora attract with their rich history, original architecture, stunning views, a truly unique experience. At the end of 10th century, the first hermits appeared in the Greek rocks of the mountains of Thessaly. At the altitude of 600 meters, they found peace, established life, and equipped special platforms for prayers. Over the years, hermits who lived here isolatedly formed communities and with monastic way of life that later grew into monasteries. Then we have had some of the local delights with red wine. Returning to the boat, had a buffet dinner. This time around we actually did open air dinner, which was absolutely amazing with view over the harbor, and this is again something you rarely have a chance to do. Buffet was actually really nice. A lot of options, really good food, and every day is different. They have themes. Usually it's related to the location. Here this time I think it was barbecue, but they change it every day. So keep in mind, check it, what themes are for the buffet. If it's your cup of tea, then go for the buffet. Again, joined one of the games, majority rules, where you're supposed to guess what majority would have guessed, what would have been the average answer in the room. Then we went for a great show, Palace of Lights, which was actually really good. I would say on the smaller boats, shows are not as good as they are on the bigger boats. So if you really are after the shows, go for the bigger boat. I will make a separate video about do's and don'ts for the cruises. By the way, if you haven't subscribed yet, click that button. The next day we were arriving to Mykonos, and I had a little bit of time to hang out on the boat, so I chose jacuzzi and staying by the pool. And here a lot of activities were organized. People were dancing and playing games, and it was really like a Disneyland for adults. And yet another of the gorgeous Greek islands, Mykonos. We're still in the Aegean. Mykonos, known for its magnificent beaches, and one of the most popular Greek islands, one of the most prestigious resorts in Europe, combining luxury with tradition and history. From here you can easily visit another island, very famous island, Delos. Is a unique place, incredibly rich archaeological site with a huge number of artifacts from different cultures over several millennia. In the 5th century BC, Athenians organized what they called themselves purification on the island. It was forbidden to bury the dead. Later also it was forbidden to give birth in Delos. After the last purification, every 5 years a magnificent ceremony was held in honor of Apollo. Delos is one of the most important mythological, historical and archaeological sites here in Greece. Excavations of the island are the most extensive in the Mediterranean. Mykonos is known as a very cosmopolitan island, considered one of the great traveling meccas. This is one of the most frequently visited islands in the Aegean Sea. Beautiful nature, again terrific gastronomy, a lot to do, a lot to see. Once again, symphony of three colors predominantly: white, blue, and shades of yellow. I took some nice strolls in Mykonos and returned to the boat. This was a special evening because we had the specialty dining. We chose La Bistro, which is a French restaurant, which was amazing. I had a bunch of great cakes. I ordered myself a chocolate mousse, and the world just disappeared with the first bite. I sort of zoomed out and had a bit of an affair with that cake right there and then. It was really good. Enjoyed whiskey tastings, which was really, really good, where 3 different types of whiskeys were paired with cheese, chocolate, and dry fruits. And it was really interesting experience, and an expert on the matter was actually guiding us through the experience. We had a really good show. The show was super fun. It was with Lord Neil, the escape artist, and the local cruise troupe. They organized a really good show. I actually really enjoyed it. And then there was a party in white. So we stayed up, I don't know, until like 2 o'clock in the morning and really enjoyed it. Next morning we arrived to Rhodes, but we were too exhausted and not in the mood to do anything, so we didn't book any tours. Just spent most of the time on the boat and by the beach, which was a really good choice after this eventful over holiday. Definitely perfect weather for a hot jacuzzi up on the highest deck of the ship, with drinks served to the jacuzzi. Pretty much it was a great relaxing evening. Then we had some drinks at the local bar and seafood buffet. A very relaxing breakfast with the view over the water. Breakfasts were amazing. There were 3 or 4 restaurants available. You could have breakfast in different restaurants. In that sense, again, that's one of the best holidays because we didn't have to organize anything. We didn't have to check in and check out of the hotels or think of where to eat and what to do. Everything was organized, and again, that's one of the reasons I love the holidays. We arrived to Santorini. We are in one of the most beautiful sites, Santorini, Greece. Classical Greek name is actually Thera. The island in southern Aegean Sea. It's the largest island of the small circular archipelago that bears the same name as the remnant of Caldera. The island was the site of one of the largest volcanic eruptions recorded in history, known as Myonian eruption, which occurred about 3,600 years ago during the height of Myonian civilization. Santorini's volcano is one of the few active volcanoes in Europe. Santorini came into existence as a result of intensive volcanic activity. 12 huge eruptions occurred, one every 20,000 years approximately, so we still have quite a bit of time to go before the next one, I hope. And it was so violent that it caused the collapse of volcanic central part. The volcano, however, managed to recreate itself over and over again. First, we're making our way to a very, very beautiful picturesque winery where we are trying 3 different types of wine: white, red, and dessert wine. All 3 were really, really good. I'm more into dessert wine, so for me the third one was the tastiest. We also were provided with all sorts of snacks, an amazing view. Oh yeah, straight out of a postcard. Certainly the most picturesque village in Santorini, if not in whole of Greece, located on the western side of Santorini, with its charming cube-like houses, colorful facades, perched high on the edge of the cliff, around 150 meters above the sea level. Very, very impressive, overlooking the volcano. Oia is the most visited village in Santorini and recently started looking more like a glamorous town rather than a village. Every day, thousands of people gather here longing to see the famous Oya sunsets. The first settlements date back several centuries and likely was built in 15th century on the ruins of Venetian castle. It has become globally famous for its authentic beauty and whitewashed houses, labyrinth-like alleys, amazing hotels, blue domes, and magnificent sunsets. What impressed me the most were the colors, the absolutely amazing, stunning, contrasty colors, the blue, the white, and the bright pink and orange of the flowers. I had a cup of coffee and a local Greek dessert during the sunset, so I had a chance to enjoy all of the best that the life has to offer. The coffee, the dessert, and the sunset. But oh my god, the sunset camera does not, I repeat, does not give it justice. You have to come there yourself. After the sunset, we returned to Fira, the capital of the island, the largest town here, and again saw amazing remnants of the sunset with our boat. Actually, you can see our cruise ship right there. And yeah, had a chance to listen to the local music. Now returning back to the boat for our dinner. This is our final day. So we had a non-specialty dining, as I suggested. Remember, on the first and on the last day, do not take specialty dining because the rest of the complimentary dining is usually really, really good. Then again, we had a great show. Every night there were shows. This is an amazing part of it. The next morning we were in Athens. Athens is the capital of Greece, the center of district Attica, which received the name in honor of Greek goddess Athena. Athens is economic, financial, and cultural center of the country, unquestionably a cradle of Western civilization, Western culture, birthplace of democracy. For that alone, the place is worth visiting. The first settlement appeared here as early as 3000 BC. The golden age of Athens fell on the 6th and the 4th century BC, when Plato and Aristotle worked and lived here. The city remained important until the rise of Constantinople and Byzantium. After the fall of Byzantine Empire, Athens fell under the control of Ottomans. In the 19th century, Athens became the capital of independent Greece, and you definitely want to visit Acropolis, the sacred hill around which the capital has grown. Acropolis is visible from almost any part of the city. It's the best to go to Acropolis along the street of Dionysus, Areopagite. There you will see the ancient theater of Dionysus. It was here where some of the most celebrated Greek playwrights watched premieres of their plays. And that, my dear friends, would be all that I wanted to share with you about my cruise experience. It was absolutely terrific. Would highly recommend it. If you've been on a cruise or planning to go to one, please do share your experience in the comments down below. Thank you so much for staying with me until the end. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to put the like, and see you soon.